are you? It feels really great being interviewed by you today.
What made you start wedding planning?
It was always my dream job. Since I was 15 years old, I always wanted to be a wedding planner.
How did the whole business start?
The whole business started by your grandmother. She was actually the one behind all the big success. Your mother and your grandmother really liked the job from a long time ago. Started by my wedding. We were planning my wedding. Your grandmother was really involved because she was an interior designer and went through the different procedures for doing the wedding with the hotel, with the wedding planner and everything. And she felt that why not I do this? I go ahead and start this business. It's a very nice, interesting business actually. So she decided to move on, and after my wedding, by 1 year, she started the business, and she started with a very nice big wedding of my best friends in Cairo, and that's how the whole business started. A few years later, after this, she opened her own flower shop, and we started a bigger business. We have the events side of the business, and we have a flower shop.
How many steps are there to planning a wedding?
It's not, if you are asking about a wedding, it has its own steps. You have so many different events that you can work on with so different steps. But you have some main steps that is connected between all these events. First of all, you sit with your client. You know what type of event he has coming up, and you start planning this event upon your client request. If you have a wedding, an engagement, or a social event, you have to know how many guests your client has, elders, youngsters. This is number one. For you to be able to make the setup of the place. You have to know the place to be able to make a setup plan. You take the measurements of the place, and then you try to fit the tables, the number of guests inside the place, whether it's a garden, it's a ballroom, it's on the beach, whatever. This is step number one. Number two, after doing the plan, it's the beginning of making an event, a social event, then you start to think how you want to decorate this event, the theme of the event. Whether it's vintage, whether it's elegant event, whether it's floral, whether it's a beach event, each type of event has its own type of decorations. So this is step number two. After you finish the setup, you finish the decorations, the theme, you get out with the theme of the event. Step number three comes, and me, my team, my florist, my stores, my workers, the guy who makes the iron work, the woodwork, the floral designs, the color of the flowers, the candles, the candle holders. It has so many details to get out with a theme. It's really difficult to collect all the bits and pieces from everywhere. The materials, the supplies, the glass, it's wood, it's iron, many materials, the fabrics that you use for the tablecloth, for the chair covers, it's a big thing. And then after doing the theme, you start choosing the chairs, the tables, which is something very important. You have to choose a comfortable chair with a very high quality, no scratches. The chair should look really elegant. You have so many chairs that you can choose from, depending as well on the theme of the wedding. The tables as well. If you have a big number of guests, you have a small place. How can you fit this? And your client is insisting of doing their wedding in this place. You have to know, you have to go around the place and check. You take out the dimensions, and you make long tables, you make square tables, you make long tables, you make round tables. You have to go around this place with the dimensions of the place and know and try to fit these people comfortably in that place. This is very important. You have to take care of the circulation between the tables. You have to take care of the circulation, not only the guests and the banquet itself, or the garden, or the sea, whatever. To know if this wedding or event has a seated dinner or it's going to be a buffet. This is something and this is something else. If you have a seated dinner, you have to respect to make bigger aisles between the tables, so the waiters can move around with the plates. They have so many courses that they're going to present to the guests. You have a first plate, you have a second plate, you have a dessert, you have appetizers, you have everything, so they can move easily between the tables, and the guests can be comfortable as well. So this is something else that you should take care while you are choosing the chairs and tables in the wedding. So the circulation. 5, the bridal entrance. How the bride is going to enter. You have to make a back entrance for the bride, and the setup of her entrance, and how the groom is going to reach her, the music with the DJ, the places that you're going to put the sound system in, the mixer of the sound system, and then you take care of the lights. How you're going to light up these tables to enlighten your centerpieces, your candle holders, the decoration of the event. This is how actually it goes. How it really goes, and it's really interesting. So
What do you do to create a centerpiece?
To create a centerpiece, actually the centerpiece is a really important factor in the wedding. You have a centerpiece is an item that can be a plus and can be a minus in the same time. A nice, effective centerpiece is a centerpiece that has very cheerful color of flowers, very fresh in the same time. The design should always be new and exciting. You should sit on the table and be happy seeing the centerpiece. While they are entering the place, it gives a big effect whether it's a big centerpiece or a small centerpiece, and whether they are sitting on the table to see they are visualizing something. The centerpiece should be chosen carefully, because if you make a big centerpiece that is really cutting the vision between the person sitting on the side and the person sitting on the other side, it's not a successful centerpiece, because the people on the same table are not having a nice conversation. They cannot see each other on the table. So that's a failure in centerpieces. The centerpiece should be high. In the middle should be very thin, should be very stable, should give an effect in the same time. So to make this, it's not easy. It's always, it takes a very, very, very it takes hard work to create the centerpiece with having all these factors all together in one centerpiece.
How many days does it take to set up the place and make it perfect?
Setting up the place actually doesn't take more than the maximum are 48 hours to if you have a 1,000 guest event, it takes a day before. That's the maximum here in Egypt, but abroad it can take up to 1 or 2 weeks. And taking care of a big event with new ideas, new centerpieces, new items, it takes at least 1 or 2 months to produce all these new items.
So how do you take care of the budget of the client, and how?
As a wedding planner that likes to do everything perfect, that's always my big issue with the client. Everybody wants their own event to be as perfect as possible and the cheapest as possible. So to have it very nice and very cheap, that's really a big problem. You have so many factors and you have so many items, and in the same time you have to try every time to fit your client budget. So you make a huge effort choosing the right items with a good quality that gives a very nice impression in the same time, and taking care of the budget of the client. So it's not always easy. Sometimes you go a lot higher than the budget expected, sometimes you go lower, but you try as much as possible to fit your client's budget.
And what kind of problems could happen in a wedding?
You can have a problem in the wedding, like if the ballroom or the place that you are going to have an event this day had an event the day before. So the people before you working in this place got late in removing their items or their chairs and tables, so they make you a problem delivering your event on the perfect time that you should finish. You can have a problem in electricity, you can have a problem in wind. Sometimes wind can be a big problem whenever you have an outdoor event. Wind can make disasters. wind can break things, that can make you stop, that can stop you from putting your centerpieces, setting the place. It can be a big disaster, but you always have to be prepared for each disaster that can happen. You always have to be very well prepared for any bad surprise or any bad circumstances that can happen, for ruining your event. So you can be able to make always a successful event.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure.
So after the interview, Rasha Sharif took me with her to one of her weddings on June 3rd, where she showed me the process that goes into wedding planning and everything that the workers do to create the perfect wedding. So here are some pictures.